I'm very happy to have the makers of the short that we're going to show here, the short Small Hours, and the Christian Spurling and Marta Sniezek. And well, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? I saw your beautiful film at the Galway Film Fleadh last year. So how did you get into animation?
Well, for me, I was about 16 in fourth year in school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do in college or anything like that because a few of my friends were talking about it. And then I kind of just decided, oh, well, I like art and I have an interest in like video games and movies and TV shows that are animated. So I was like, yeah, I'll pursue animation. And then from then on, I was kind of laser focused on just getting into animation for some reason. And I thought it would be a nice kind of springboard into other regions and things like that after. So that's kind of how I got into it. I just decided and I went for it, I guess.
You went for it. Lovely stuff. And Marta, what about you?
I didn't know at all what I wanted to do. I definitely was into drawing from the age of maybe 8 or 9. I always wanted to do something in movie making, but because I wasn't too educated on what jobs there actually are, I just knew of actors and directors. I didn't really know the creative process that much. I always used to love watching behind the scenes of filmmaking when I was younger, even silly movies I used to watch, like Garfield. I loved the making of how they were animating Garfield into the film the most. So then I decided I'll just go into animation because I kept drawing and I really want to be in film. I still am not sure if I found the exact thing I want to do, but whatever it is, I definitely want to be in film, whether it's animated or live action. For now, it's animated, so we'll see where it takes us, you know.
That's very interesting. Yeah, it's a springboard into the creative field.
Yeah.
So your film, as far as I understand, was the graduate film from the Dún Laoghaire College.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, it's a short, but, you know, just to give people a little bit of an inkling of what's behind all this. So could you tell us a little bit, how long was the preparation, the pre-production, and how long were you producing the film?
There was actually no pre-production. It was very it just came to me in like I was doing a little meditation session with gongs in the background, and I visualized it very clearly in my head all of a sudden. I think we had a deadline to pitch our ideas for our final projects in the next week. We were blanking. We had absolutely nothing, and all of a sudden this came to me, just about trains of thoughts and memories and kind of what happens in your head as one memory folds into another, and so on and so on. And how, you know, when you kind of get so lost in thought that you don't even remember how you got there in the first place. Like, what was the first thought that you thought of to get here, you know? So I was very much trying to see if this can be done to put visually on screen, you know, that kind of transitioning from one idea of another with little details or sounds, whatever it might be. And I told it to Christian, and Christian really wanted to, you know, do backgrounds. I really wanted to do animation, and we thought it was a great idea just to do it together. And then we decided to co-direct. It wasn't like we're directors, you're doing this, you're that. It was very organic. We just kind of let the jobs flow, and there was no pre-production. We just started production straight away with drawing, and I started animating, and then we had no visual idea of it.
We very much just kind of flew by the seat of our pants. Like, all together we were working on the film from September of 2020, and we finished it in February of last year, so February 2022. So we kind of, but at that point in September, people were already meant to be going into production because you're meant to kind of do your pre-production at the tail end of third year. And Marta was on Erasmus, and we had the pandemic, and I had another idea for a film I wanted to do, which I scrapped over the summer because I just wasn't in the mood for it. But so yeah, we just kind of we figured it out as we went along. You know, we were like, oh, we need we need an animatic like stat. So we just started drawing boxes of little things and little memories that we wanted to have in the film, and we just stitched it together. We found some nice classical piano music to kind of put it all to, because we didn't even know what kind of music we wanted yet at that point. So we it's not the most ideal way to make a film, but I think because it was just us two primarily for like the rushed pre-production and the production as well, because they kind of went in tandem, it was much easier to kind of coordinate, because there wasn't like a whole team of people that we needed a whole plan for, essentially. We just had to meet deadlines with the lecturers in terms of showing our work and things like that. So it was a very organic process, I think.
Unorthodox.
Unorthodox.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of leads into my next question. Like, it's a very interesting film in so far that it is shown not on one screen. There's many fragmented, the screen is fragmented into many screens, not exactly split screen, but, you know, many screens, and the images are flown in and out of each other. What inspired you to tell the story, as far as there is a story? What inspired you to tell it like this?
Well, the original idea I had for my grad film had kind of a mosaic screen, like as like its focal point, because I loved kind of physical slapstick comedy like Buster Keaton and like you know, the Monty Python kind of films. The Holy Grail was a big inspiration for just kind of the silliness.
This is the other film.
This is the other film.
Yeah, not
yeah, and I wanted to play around with like little boxes on screen, only showing you little elements that would be relevant throughout the kind of the sketch, if you will. And then when I scrapped that idea, and Marta kind of came, you know, and said her, you know, because it was literally just Marta was like, I have this vision for a film. This is how I see it. And she described it. And as we kind of talked about making it, it just kind of, we figured that the mosaic screen style really suited almost the fragmented aspect of memory, and how sometimes with a particular place or a particular time in our lives, we only have those little concrete moments that kind of anchor us to the memory, and then everything around them is almost a blur, or it's just non-existent. So I think it was one of those things that we just sort of not fell into, but definitely we were just kind of like, oh wow, this really works, you know, this really helps bring that whole idea to the forefront, because we didn't want the mosaic screen to just be a gimmick. We wanted it to have some sort of purpose, and I think we found that purpose in how it's all fragmented and broken apart.
Like, yeah, I mean, you know, when I would tell people, what do you think that film is about? You know, if you could sum that up in a word, I presume it means different things to different people, doesn't it? Because you can piece the film together. Like, to me, it's very much a lockdown film. And, you know, to other people, it's something else. What is it to you? If you could sum that up in one sentence.
In one sentence. I think when someone asks me, what is the film about? I hate this question, because not that I hate this question right now. This is better, because if someone asks me, what is the film about? It's about everything and nothing. It's very much about what you get out of it, what you put into it, you know? We set out to make something to switch someone off for a little bit. There's no plot there is one for us. Maybe there isn't for the viewer. It's not very plot or narrative driven, which is okay, because narrative and plot and great screenwriting is so great to see in short films. But when we go to festivals, sometimes we're very just exhausted, and because there's so many strong stories one after another, and it's a lot to take in. And we very much wanted to make something that you can just switch off your brain for 5 minutes and just calm yourself for a little bit.
Slip into.
Yeah, just again, fall into your own train of thought, and you get whatever you want out of it. We don't want to push an idea of what it's meant to be, because then it ruins the whole
fantastic.
Yeah.
There should be more films like that. Yeah.
I think for me as well, if I were to sum up what the film is in one sentence, it would just be like just a little trip down memory lane, something that's nice to kind of just sit back and go, yeah, that wasn't too bad. And then
we just hope
go
it makes
back
people
into,
feel nice as well.
yeah, because one thing that we discovered when we were making the film was that because we were very much drawing on our own personal memories, we kind of discovered that there were a lot of similarities that we shared between our memories. Even though we grew up in very different places, there were a lot of things that we kind of discovered. They're like, oh my God, you grew, you would go to a farm every summer in the mountains, and then I would go out to Connemara with my friend's family, ever since I was 12. I would go out every summer, and that was a huge just a formative experience for us. And there were a lot of things that we had in common, like that admiring of cows just like doing their own business in a field, and all just nature and things. So I think the film, it brings a lot of that. It bridges those little gaps between people who might not have anything in common.
I think also, like, I wouldn't stray away too much from it being a lockdown film. We definitely didn't set out in making one. Because back then when we started it, the lockdown was it was in a weird place.
Yeah, where it was over, but it wasn't over.
And it wasn't even for that long at that point. It's not what it is now, but we were definitely indoors for most of it, not in college. So probably some aspects of that yearning for the outdoors has definitely found its way in the film.
And yearning for those places that we couldn't see and those people we couldn't visit. So
it was our little therapy session. Whenever we went into the film, it was our little therapy.
Which was again another organic, kind of almost just natural aspect of making the film that we stumbled upon it and we were like, yeah, I guess it is a lockdown film, in many ways.
A very nice lockdown film. So I mean, I get the impression there weren't many collaborators there, so but a big role would be the score, the music. So can you tell a little bit about that? Who helped you there and what inspired and what role does it have?
We got this because as part of your final year project in IEDT, you're essentially assigned someone in the the music and multimedia course.
I really don't know the name, but
there's basically a music based course that unfortunately I can't remember the exact name of, but we essentially get assigned people based on, the college does its best, but based on what your project needs. And we got assigned these two guys, one guy called Nicholas Val, and the other guy was Josh Carroll. And Josh Carroll kind of helped us with the Foley sounds and then
sound design and
from the sound design. And Nick, we spoke to him and we were told he was this prodigy and everything by his lecturer. And we spoke to him, we kind of gave him a loose brief of just, we want something that's, nostalgic.
I don't even remember what we told him, but whatever we did, he just got it on the third draft. He just understood the assignment so well.
Yeah, nice. We wanted something that you wouldn't immediately be able to recognize the instruments. We didn't want anything that was too like, oh, that's a violin and that's a guitar or whatever. We wanted it to feel very ambient, dreamlike,
abstract.
And Nick, we only had 3 drafts of the music. Like he was very spot on with it. He just kind of got what we wanted.
The most important thing with the music as well is in the beginning, if you pay attention, the music starts off in the beginning when the memories start, but you can still hear a lot of the background noises, a lot of real life knocks or picking up a cup, whatever it is, you can hear it very intensely. And as the movie or the film goes on, you don't really notice when it happens, but at one point the sounds entirely escape and it's just the music that takes over, because that's kind of what happens when you fall into this kind of train of thought. The surrounding sounds just completely disappear. I don't know how that happens, but it's such a beautiful thing that we're able to just completely zone out from our surroundings and just go so internally within ourselves. And that's what I wanted to do with the music. That the music just takes over, and you don't even realize when this happens. Sometimes when we watch the film, we kept forgetting to pay attention to the music to give him feedback, because it just did the job so well, you know, of just like making us go inside of this project. So that was a very important thing for us as well, is this transition from real life noises into the music, you know.
That's great. I mean, that's very fortuitous that you got people that you didn't pick yourself, and yet you were on the same wavelength, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that probably worked between the two of you as well, the way you worked. Like, were there any animators or artists or filmmakers that would influence you visually? Like, it's kind of very calm visual style. Is there something that you would say that was an inspirational, you saw that, or did it just come to you naturally? Or
I think a lot of the influences were, I don't want to just say, oh, it's all subconscious, because we did have some set people that we were kind of like, oh, I really like when this person does this and when this director does that. So when we were kind of discovering a visual style, practicality was on my mind, because
it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
So.
And I quickly realized that, like, oh goodness, I'm going to have nearly 70 backgrounds to do for this film, because it's all split screen. And if you have 3 minutes of screen time, you know, you're essentially tripling your workload, because you have 3 things on screen for the same amount of time. So I was looking at like, oh, I'd love to just do this in like simple black line work and flat colors. But when I did it, I was like, wow, it's really ugly. So we found this artist that we both loved on Instagram called Stebularius, who kind of did these beautiful, just very simple flat colors, line work. But he had like this, or he or she had this beautiful use of noise and grain to kind of give this bit of texture to everything,
and cohesion.
And that was just it, you know, like just a simple film grain on something, and that really just kind of brought it to life and made everything feel connected. Like there was this universal, almost rose tinted glass over everything. I
think also in Ghibli movies, when things die down and you have those very peaceful moments with a gentle piano and some clouds moving over fields, those are the moments that we wanted to very much focus on, with those moments that you just kind of switch off the action and it's just those like, those moments. So those Ghibli was anime in general was a huge influence, but for those specific parts, when someone's waiting at a bus stop and it's raining, rather than the big, huge, most iconic cinematic moments, you know, it was those in-between moments that we were very much wanting to focus on.
The little breathing time the film gives you, and also just the focus on like the environment being
a character,
but also just dwarfing the characters. Like it's almost like it's about two people's memories, but like their memories are not of themselves, their memories are of the places that they are in. And it was just so nice to kind of put the focus on just a bug landing on a leaf and the cows kind of wading through the water. You know, it was nice to just give the environment just center stage for so much of the film. So I think Ghibli was a big inspiration for that.
In terms of the mosaic screen, that was incredibly difficult to do research on. I did a whole thesis on split screen, and there's very little mosaic screen, or I think maybe I found like 3 or 4 projects that they were very much trying the mosaic screen thing, but it was really hard to figure that out because there's not much out there in this format, which I'm very surprised by because it can do a lot for narrative. So
maybe students will be go and studying you in the future, you know. So well, I mean, your graduation film is already being shown or been selected to some pretty prestigious festivals all over Europe and maybe all over the world, I don't know, but definitely you're getting around in Europe. So apart from the prestige, what does that mean to you to go to festivals and having your film shown there?
it's so weird because I remember we were making this film all the time at home, so it didn't really feel like it actually was happening or it existed. It felt like a little, when you're drawing in a sketchbook, it's so different when you're making an art piece in college. It's just, it felt very personal. And I kept forgetting that there's actually going to be real life human beings watching this. As odd as that sounds. Hopefully, like I wasn't expecting, I was really hoping for one festival, to sit there and see it on the big screen, and it was, it's surreal. And I think that's the best part, is that it's such an unconventional way of making a short film. That's why it was very difficult to tell, will this be likable or not, because I haven't seen this before. So that's always a huge risk. Like, will people enjoy this, or will they just like, what is this? So
and it's not that we were only caring about the audience reaction, but everybody who makes something wants other people to say they liked it. That I don't believe anyone who, when they say, oh, I only make stuff for me and I don't care about anyone else, everyone deep down wants someone else to be like, oh, I like that too, I enjoyed it, what you did was good. And I think it's just completely bizarre to think that we made this little weird film and it's been all over the place and seen by lots of people and even gone to Annecy, and that's where we had our world premiere and everything. Like, it was, I genuinely sometimes feel it's happening to someone else. I always feel like this is something I would read about, like, oh, good for them. It's very weird to think that it's us two experiencing it. So
in a good way,
in a very good way. It's just complete. I think it's imposter syndrome at the end of the day. It's just like, oh, I'm just this guy, I don't deserve any of this, it's incredible.
So is everybody else. They're all only people as well who happen to make nice films. So enjoy it while, so hopefully from there onwards, hopefully that's not a one-off step in your career. So what are your future plans? Like, each of you or together, or?
Well, actually, we got along with the musician that made the film, the music for this film so well that we're actually making a music video for his new single. So that's something we've been working on for him. It's also like a little token of our gratitude as well, like, because he did such a phenomenal job that we want to also, give back to him. And it's nice. A nice full circle moment as well. And
because again, when he gave us the track, he said, like, oh, just have a listen to this and tell me what visuals come to your mind. And Marta and we gave it a listen, and I started thinking of, like, because it's quite like psychedelic guitar riffs and stuff. It's very like, just nice. And I started thinking of like space and nebulas and planets. And Marta, you were thinking of like fish swimming through the sea
creatures.
Sea creatures. And then we were like, oh, well, why don't we just combine the two and just do like fish in space? And so when we kind of came back to Nick with our ideas, he was like, yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, like underwater, like space kind of whatever. So
we're always on the same page.
It was very bizarre to see that once again, we were kind of on similar wavelengths with it.
And I'm also this is, I think it's announced. I think I can talk about this. Yeah,
you can.
I don't know. I'm working on something with other IDT students from model making, and we're making a stop motion short film, and it's funded. We got the funding from Screen Ireland. It's called Nana D. So look out for it. It should, hopefully, I think it'll be screening in Galway this year in June.
Ooh, so very nice.
Yeah, so keep an eye on that.
For that.
I'm 3 more shots to animate, so we're almost there. I'm really excited.
Great stuff.
It's my first ever time directing and let alone animating a stop motion. So be kind.
Well, I mean, Galway audiences are being introduced to your short here through the Film Society, and we definitely will be looking forward to seeing that.
I'm very excited.
Christian, do you have any plans at the moment? Or?
Well, at the moment, I'm working on the music video primarily, and after that, I'm thinking of going to Australia. thinking of just taking a year, you know,
Yeah.
expanding my art and doing other things. Not necessarily, I'm not kissing animation and filmmaking goodbye, no sir, no way. But I definitely just want to I want to get out of the country for a bit. I want to, you know, see some places and do a bit of traveling. So that's on the horizon for me. At the moment,
it's very important, I think, for animators and filmmakers or artists in general, just to take some time off and just kind of live for a bit to kind of gain more content to talk about. Because if you're only creating, you almost run out of things to create, you know, or to talk about or to say.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important thing. You know, I think a lot of more artists should do that, you know, take some step back. Of course, yeah.
That
So
is such a sensible attitude, you know, especially animation can be very insular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's so insightful, and I'm so happy that you've given us your time and that you allow us to show your film. Pity you can't be there in person, but you know, we have this interview on the website, and good luck in Portugal, where you will be while this film has been shown at yet another nice animation festival. And
thank you so much, and thank you for your time as well, and for wanting to speak to us as well. Like, it's always lovely when we get to chat about our film and stuff. It's wonderful, and thank you.
Oh, well, spreading the gospel of animation. Okay, thank you very much.
One film at a time.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.